Hello everyone and welcome to the week 10 lecture for EDFX242. I hope that you've all had a lovely 2-week break, mostly 2 weeks. I know you did have some other subjects that you were learning in, but I really hope you took the time to take some time for yourself and just relax and enjoy time with your loved ones. And this beautiful spring weather, it's beautiful outside, and I do hope that you've taken advantage of that. The lecture for this week is all about the teacher as a learner and the pedagogical approach behind feedback. And it's something that's directed toward, I guess, your early career, your beginning teacher career, as well as, most importantly, your practicum, which hopefully will be coming soon. Again, I'm still not sure about that, and I will keep you posted as soon as I know anything. I guess before we do start, just to let you all know that the CELT surveys have begun. They were opened on the 4th of October, and I'd really appreciate if you could complete the CELT survey for this unit. It really gives myself feedback as an LIC and the tutors that are teaching in this unit. Just remember when you are filling out those CELT surveys that there's a few things that I don't have any control over. So please be kind when you are filling out the survey. So things like the tutorial or lecture timetables and the number of students in classes, I have no control over that. That is set by the uni and something that is definitely out of my control. So that's one thing. Another thing is unplaced students. This is more when it comes to practicum. If you're not placed yet, which we're all not going out yet, but you may have a placement, that's out of my control. I do work really hard to try and help the placements team place students when necessary. So that's something that I am unable to do at the moment. I'm not able to have any say around when prac is scheduled or when prac dates might be able to be moved, again, out of my control. And in the situation we're in, I'd love you all to be going out on placement, but again, we know that that's not doable at the moment, so let's hope it happens soon. The assessment task, so the case study essay and the digital portfolio, again, it is a national assessment. So every student in New South Wales that is undertaking EDFX 242 at all universities is undertaking the same assessment. So again, they're out of my control. Please, if there's any things that are a concern to you about this unit or myself or anyone, please put them in the general comments. But don't take them into consideration when you're marking on my teaching quality and your tutor's teaching quality. And just remember, I'm a human with feelings. I honestly have totally enjoyed working in this unit with all of you. And I feel that in the future, I will be taking charge of other units that you guys will be participating in. It has been a pleasure. And please know that I have put my heart and soul into everything for you guys. So I'd really love that reflected in my CELT surveys. But again, I do need you to be honest as well. Okay, in terms of practicum is changing over the years compared to, when I was at uni doing it a fair while ago, and even just year to year for yourselves. So just as there has been changes to teaching practices, there's also been significant changes to practicum, as well as the sociological makeup of student teachers. Your supervising teacher in school will have most likely completed practicum in a very different way to you. So they might have different expectations of what you need to achieve. And that happens a lot. You might have a supervising teacher that hasn't had a prac student for a long time, or they're reflecting on what they needed to do in their practicum when they were at uni. So there's more of an emphasis now on individual student teachers developing their own identity and supervising teachers encouraging them to grow into that. So not having so much of, I don't like to really say hold, but really giving you the freedom of choice and to develop yourself naturally. I often hear comments from supervising teachers saying, I love having prackies. They're so enthusiastic and bring such great new ideas. And it's so true. And I've had lots of prac students myself in a classroom, and I absolutely love having prac students in my room. You guys can be such an asset to a classroom. And I really want you to remember that. You can bring so much to that classroom, and I really want you to have a good go at it. And don't feel intimidated. Go in, do your best. It's important to remember that you will always be a student, even when you are teaching, and you're still learning about teaching. So you need to remember that. Your supervising teacher will give you lots of feedback. Again, you may not agree with it, but you need to take it as a learning experience. Always remember that. I'm learning something from this. Even if I don't agree, I'm learning something from it. You need to have a positive attitude, no matter what you're faced with. Student teachers learning is complex. This is because it is experienced so differently by every supervising teacher and every student. So between yourselves, you know, in uni, you have so many different friendship groups, and your placement is going to be totally different to the person sitting next to you, or your good friend here at uni. And it's really hard to compare. So it really depends on your supervising teacher, the school you're in. I guess if you're placed in a difficult classroom, if it's an easier classroom, there's so many things that come into play. So just remember, everyone is going to have a different experience. And I've said this to a lot of students over the years. Sometimes you'll have awesome experiences on placement, other times not so much. Myself, when I was at university, I did 5 placements, and I think 3 of them I absolutely loved, and they were amazing. The other 2, I remember I had a bit of a hard time just, I guess, agreeing with my supervising teacher and how they taught. But in the end, I just took it as a learning experience, and I did my absolute best. So I just need you to remember that not every placement is going to be amazing, but it's the real world of teaching. And I guess it's how you deal with it is how you're going to develop as a teacher and how you're going to grow as an individual. So really remember that. Think about your own experiences here at uni. You will all have different feelings about this subject you're learning in, and me as a lecturer. Some of you might really enjoy listening to me babble on all the time. Others might go, oh, here she goes again. But, you know, we all have different experiences, and it's the same with your other units as well. Also, think about your own personal history with school. You yourself will bring a wealth of initial impressions and ideas about learning from your own experiences as a learner and your own strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, every student in this unit will experience practicum differently, even if you're at the same school. So there's so many things that come into play. Okay, your own experience in schooling and your overall life experience with diversity will bring its own prejudices to the classroom. It's hard because you don't know what you don't know. And it's so true. You know, some people would have been through a lot in their lives, and it will make you a really, I guess, understanding, culturally diverse person, and someone that has a big understanding of all different walks of life. Other people may not have had a whole lot of life experience, and that's okay. We all bring different things to the table, and it's how we either use those as strengths, or we learn to develop those areas that we need to work on. So think about, I guess, myself, my own personal experience with my own children and my life experiences has impacted the way I teach kids in primary schools. I've developed ways to not dismiss kids who constantly move, but find ways to incorporate the moving into my teaching. And I wish I knew all of this at the beginning of my career. My early career, I didn't have children. I taught for a long time before I had my own children. And once I became a parent, my teaching style changed. I really understood children a whole lot more, and I understood why they did certain things. And I learned to go, okay, that's normal. Let's work with it, and let's incorporate that into my teaching. And if any of you are lucky to become parents in the future, I hope you agree with me one day. If not, it's okay. I'm just saying the reason I'm bringing this up is because your personal experiences really reflect on your teaching, and you'll find that will change over the years with the more experience and the more life changes that you have. I guess always be on the lookout for unknown prejudices. It often comes up if you find yourself irritated by a constant behavior, or if you give yourself a child or a subject a label. For example, I'm bad at math, or I'm disorganized, or Billy just hates me, he's naughty on purpose, or drama isn't important, I'll just do it on Friday afternoon. So be aware of the thoughts that you have, and I guess why you have them. And they can be a positive, but they can also be a negative. So if they are a bit of a negative, work on ways to turn them into a positive and realize why you think certain ways. And it will all link back to your life experience and your schooling experiences. It's different to other learning at university. It has a much more personal dimension too. So when you're on placement, you know, it's personal. You're there. You're the only one in it. I'm not there with you. Your supervising teacher's there with you, but it's all on you. So it's a lot more complex. Who you are as a person will directly impact on who you are as a teacher. They link. That's pretty obvious. And also, I'll add my own opinion. The other adult relationships in your life will impact on your student. So if you have an expectation of how the supervising teacher will talk to you or teach you, then you may come against conflict. I think that the HSC leads to an impression that teachers are there to give you all the answers, but adult learning requires some independence, and the supervising teacher will expect that. And I agree with you. So don't go in with any expectations. You know, you don't know what your supervising teacher is going to be like. Ride the waves and adapt. Try to adapt to the situation. And it's no one else's fault. You're there. You're responsible for your learning. So take it all in and do your absolute best. If you have done your best, then that's all we can ask. Okay, I guess how to maximize your own learning. Analyze your attitude towards your learning in the placement. So really go in with that positive mindset. Reflect on your learning. Okay, reflect on your lessons, reflect on your week, reflect on your whole experience. And don't just look at all of the bad things if it wasn't such a good placement. Look at the good things and go, okay, this happened. Yeah, it wasn't so good, but what did I learn from it? What did I take from it? Understand the context within which you are working. So there's lots of things that come into play, whether it's your supervising teacher, yourself, your own mindset at the time, the classroom, the school, the area that the school is in, the students you're teaching, the other teachers at the school. Look at the context and see, you know, if you can really analyze, I guess, why certain things might have happened or the experiences that you had. Cultivate collaborative work practices with everyone that you can on your placement, and nurture your self-esteem. Understand teachers going to give you feedback that you might go, oh, this is really horrible. I don't like hearing that about myself. But look at it. If it's something that you think is a little bit, I don't like to say aggressive, but if you see it as something that the teacher is quite concerned about, ask them how you can fix it. Ask for some help and say, look, can you give me some ideas as to how I can improve in this area? And if you don't understand something, ask. Say, look, you've said this about me, and I'm a bit, you know, I feel like it's taken a little bit of a hit to my self-esteem. Can you explain it a bit more? And always, you know, ask. It is very daunting to hear feedback about yourself. I totally understand. But look at feedback as positive and how you can use it to make yourself even better. So who is ultimately responsible for what I learn on practicum? Obviously, the answer is I am. You guys are. No one else. You're responsible. You will take what you can from it. Even if it's that tiny thing. Remember what I said. If it's one little minuscule of a thing that you go, right, I'm going to learn this, take that. If it's a teacher that you may not agree with, you don't let them know that. But you might say, right, I don't ever want to be a teacher like that. I want to be my own teacher. And I've learned that the way they teach is not necessarily how I would teach, but you're turning it into a positive and how you would fix that. So there's an example from some research here by Groundwaters. So 2 young teachers were talking one day about their time at university when the subject of their practical experiences came up. Each described what they remembered about one of their practicums. One said, it was great. The school was terrific. The staff were friendly. The parents were approachable and the children were really eager to learn. The other said, I had exactly the opposite experience. The staff were not helpful, hard to get on with. The parents were unfriendly and the children were very difficult. To their surprise, when they compare where they had been, it was the same school. there's a really obvious, I love reading that because they were at the same school. They both had a total different experience. And that's what I'm saying. It's all about the mindset and it's all about you. It's what you take from it. Analyze your own attitude. So a majority of student teachers approach practicum as a test to be passed rather than a learning experience. Don't look at it as I've got to pass this. Look at it as this is making me a better teacher. It can lead student teachers to try to guess what's in a teacher's head, try to please everyone, doubt themselves and put themselves down. Okay, don't think along that line. Look at it as this is me becoming a teacher. Perceive mistakes as failures rather than learning experiences. With some, it hinders their learning, and it's only on reflection students realize their attitude hindered their practice. So remember what I said. You might feel like, okay, that was a terrible lesson. You can get all down about it and say, I failed, this is terrible, I don't like this experience. Or you can go, right, that was a terrible lesson. I really don't want to ever experience that again. But look at it and go, okay, when I reflect on it, how can I learn from it? And if you reacted in a bad way, then you'll probably look back and go, okay, my attitude, because it was so-called a failure, it allowed, me to be, I guess, not the best teacher in that lesson. So think about your attitude. Again, the last one is think about the attitude you want in the students you are teaching, to believe in themselves, learn from mistakes, having a growth mindset, set small goals, and apply them to yourself. Totally agree with that. Act, the way that you want your students to act is how you need to act. Reflect on your learning during the placement. I really recommend that you get a journal and have a daily reflection, or you might sit down at lunchtime every day and reflect. And this is so important. One day you'll be able to look back at it and see what you learnt. And in your 3rd and 4th years here at uni, I do teach on a lot of those subjects. We do have other digital type portfolios where you need artifacts, and journal reflections are always really solid. So if you start one now when you go on to this placement, it's something you can use even in your 4th year, just before you graduate. Okay. But it's also super important for you to reflect, and don't just make it airy-fairy. Really reflect and go, okay, this went so well today. What didn't go so well and why? And you might reflect on, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go in with this mindset and this is how I'm going to fix it, or wherever it may be, or whatever it may be. By reflecting on your practicum, you are maximizing your learning. Okay. Think about our digital portfolio. This assists with this, even though you're probably, cursing me right now because you're in the middle of doing it. But see it as a way to reflect and learn rather than just another assessment to pass. You'll most likely do better in the assignment if you approach it like that. You don't always get the answers when you reflect on your learning. You may get more questions. Hit the books for more research and talk to an experienced teacher. Experienced teachers are so knowledgeable. I'm not just saying that because I am one. We've been through everything. We've been in your shoes, and we've gotten out of it, and we've progressed in our careers. Talk to experienced teachers. It might be your supervising teacher. You may have family friends, but talk to them, because your own reflection might bring up some other questions for you, which is okay. Okay. I'm going to skip here, and I know I've been talking for a while now. I don't want to keep you too long. So as our knowledge of the brain has changed from a concept of fixed intelligence to our current understanding of the expanding brain, so too has our knowledge of classroom teaching. Okay, remember that. So, things change constantly with teaching, with anything in life. So our brain, it's expanding and it's learning to grow with the changes and not just having that fixed mindset. Teachers today are still developing new instructional methods, and you need a range of strategies to teach a classroom of students one topic. This is so true. And when you get out there into your career and even on your placement, you will see this. And lots of things like professional learning and different things you can undertake to progress. And, teachers that have been teaching for 30 years have to do the same. They can't be teaching the same strategies that they were using 30 years ago. Technology changes all the time. expectations change on teachers. So you constantly need to develop new instructional methods. And it's through that professional learning and working with other colleagues that you learn this. And it's trial and error. Same on your placement. You might try something and go, that didn't work. Worked for my supervising teacher, but it didn't work for me. Okay, let's try another strategy. Okay, that worked, or that didn't work. What can we try again? It's trial and error, and that's okay. That's what your placements are for. It's trying things and seeing what works for you. Don't think that we expect, or your supervising teacher expects you to come into the classroom and be an expert. Okay, they understand where you're at. Okay. Essential for your survival in your placement. If you go it alone, you will sink on the lifeboat of despair. Okay, I'm joking, but I'm not joking as well. It's really a real issue. Teacher burnout in the first few years is huge, and mostly due to the fact first year out teachers feel the pressure to know it all and do it all. Some of that pressure is real and some of it isn't. You need to live a balanced life. You are not your job. And this is the same in your placement. Balance it out. Don't obsess over it. You've got to learn to being a teacher is balancing that work-life relationship and balance. It's hard to do. And when you get to your fourth year, I'm teaching on a subject at the moment that is for students that are about to graduate. We do talk a lot about teacher burnout, and it is a real thing. But again, don't expect that you're meant to be an expert on everything in the beginning years of your career. Teaching is such a profession where you learn as you go on the job. Talk to your peers, seek peers who you know are like you, but also be open to finding peers who are different. Learn from each other. Don't dismiss another's approach. Think about it critically. And I really believe that. We learn so much from the people around us. When you work with others, you won't always agree, but you will benefit from listening. Be open to ideas and criticism. Try not to be on the defensive or prove that you are right. Instead, find a solution through compromise. And you will learn this, especially when you're out there in the real teaching world and you have your own class. There's lots of different people that make up a staff, and you have to learn to listen, accept, give feedback, not judge, and compromise. And you will learn a lot about that as you start out. Okay, teaching exposes one's personality in a way that other occupations do not. You are constantly being watched by students, other teachers, parents, and at practicum, your supervising teacher and a tertiary supervisor. It's a lot to take in, okay? But it does expose the good parts of you and maybe the not so good parts. But, use your strengths and improve on your weaknesses, which I don't love to call them weaknesses, but we all have them. It's important that you do not take every incident personally. You need to interpret them with a level of self-confidence. For example, you meet a new friend who you quite like and you want to get to know more. You message them to catch up, and you can see they saw your message, but it's been a hard day and they haven't responded. How do you feel? Don't always take it personally. Things happen in people's lives. So that's a really good example of, it's not that they probably don't want to get together with you. They could have something going on in their life that you have no idea about. So it's all about, taking it with a grain of salt and going, okay, there could be other reasons behind it. So how do we nurture our own self-esteem? Set yourself realistic goals. Ask for feedback from your supervising teacher, your tertiary supervising teacher, even myself. I'm happy to give you feedback anytime if we have a chat. I'll always be around to help you guys. Manage time and be organized. So crucial for your placement and just to be a teacher in general. Time management is key. Be organized. Don't go in at the last minute or you will feel flustered and you will have a bad lesson. Super organized. Monitoring and regulating your energy and your stress levels. If you're feeling the heat and you're feeling stressed, tell your supervising teacher. Think of ways that you yourself in your own life relieve your own stress, and make sure you do that while you're on your placement. Cultivating a support network between your friends, so your colleagues within uni, you're all going through the same thing. Have that support there. I'm here to support you. There's other tutors and LICs here at the uni to support you. There's ACU counselling. Your family is your biggest support network, whoever you live with or whoever it is. But lean on your support network and talk. Celebrate success. Don't be afraid to go, that was an awesome lesson. I loved that lesson. This is what it's all about, and you'll have those lessons where you just go, wow, I'm amazing. I did it. And I promise you, it will just give you so much more confidence for the next time you go into your lesson. And it just works that way. It just keeps building. So be happy and celebrate yourself. You deserve it. And you're more than your job. Remember that. Don't be so obsessed with your job. This is more when you become a graduating teacher. Don't forget everything else in your life. I always like to say, we work to live, we don't live to work. And I always say that to my husband. He has a very highly stressful job, and my job sometimes can be quite stressful, but I always stop and think, okay, I still need to have a life as well, because we can all get caught up in things, as you know. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing there. I'll just keep it here. So thank you for listening to my lecture. I hope I've taught you something, but just remember, whenever your placement happens, take this advice. And if you have any questions about your placement at all when it happens, I will always be here to answer your questions, and I'll always be here to support you. So please remember that. That's it from me. I'll be placing this recording, of course, you're watching it, is up on Leo. But next week, so week 11, I will be doing a live lecture. And the reason I'm doing that is to be able to touch base with you all. And, if anyone has any questions about the assignment or any concerns about placement, I'd be happy to answer them. So I encourage you all to come. Remember, it isn't compulsory. I understand you do have lives as well. But I'd really love to see as many faces there as I can. And I still will put the recording up onto Leo as well. Anyway, everyone, have a lovely week, and I will see you all soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.